G'day guys, it's Chris Dillon again from XL Rehab. In part 1 of this video I'm going to demonstrate a few taping techniques around the ankle and some of the principles of its application, and in part 2 we're going to apply those techniques to strap your own ankle. So I've gone to the trouble to put in a rough anatomy of the ankle with your main tibia here, your shin bone, your fibula here, the outside bone, and this being your talus, the uppermost bone in your foot. And this is typically the ligament that gets sprained the most, your ATFL, and it gets stretched or stressed in full plantar flexion or pointing and inversion. So obviously our strapping tape for the lateral ankle needs to prevent that. So first and foremost with strapping you need to pre-position the joint, and that's generally in the opposite direction of a sprain. Common mistake most people make is that they think they need to get into full dorsiflexion eversion, up and out, but bottom line is you still need to be able to maintain the functionality of the joint when you're in standing. So if you're doing that, they're going to be wandering around on their their instep the whole time, which is pretty uncomfortable, and essentially it's going to be a very tight tape. So really all you need to do for this technique is pre-position into full dorsiflexion, so pulling up, and have the patient actively pull it up if you can, or if you're doing it on yourself, pull it up so those tendons stand up, so we can get going with the strapping. First tape technique we're going to do is an anchor. Really important that you just lay the tape onto the skin. Don't try and stretch it, don't try and pull it. The shin or the calf is conical. If you just go horizontally, you're going to find that you create a pressure area. Gapping on one side means that there's pressure on the other, and that's not what we're after. So first technique is an anchor, and that literally provides an anchor for all the rest of our strapping techniques. Second one being a stirrup. So in the case of a lateral ankle, we're going to go from the inside all the way to the outside, from anchor to anchor, and again just lay the tape on the skin, don't force it, don't pull it. We're going to do a number of different techniques today, but generally speaking when you're doing an ankle strap you'll do several of the one technique. I'm just going to demonstrate a few that we'll use around the ankle, and then we'll put it together in part 2. The third one I want to show you is a reverse 6, and that starts in and around the outside of the ankle, comes down on an angle across the front, down and around, and comes up vertically on the outside, once again attaching to our anchor. Now it's pretty important that with your tape it starts to get some coverage of that ligament. So as I said, with a general ankle we'd probably start to vary up that angle a little bit and get some better coverage of that ligament. Next one I'm going to show you is a reverse 6, and it's called that because it's just, sorry, that was a reverse 6, this is a 6. 6 is just literally called that because it's the way you'd draw a 6. Down from the inside, back up, and this time crosses obliquely around the front on the outside. Again, we're slinging up and around the outside to support that ligament and stop essentially a bit of that inversion. I'm going to bring that tape generally forward as I go on a normal ankle, because ultimately what I want to try and protect or block is the bending down, that plantar flexion of the foot. If we can stop that, there's a good chance we're going to minimize the amount of stretch on that ATFL. Next one I'm going to show you is a half heel lock. Now the half heel lock is in itself not much of a stabilizing strap, but when you put it over the top of your other strapping techniques it tends to lock them in, which is a good thing. It's supportive for the patient. So I've gone one way, next time I'll go the other. Starting at the front, coming down on an oblique angle again, and you'll see that the tape comes around the back and gets a sort of 45 degrees off the back of the heel, and once again comes back and locks off onto itself. With practice you can get that into a full heel lock, okay, and that's something that takes a bit more practice, but if you're struggling to get a hold of it, then just literally do 2 half heel locks and leave it at that. Finish off the tape, go back to your anchor and start locking it all off so it's nice and neat. As I said, those are just a few of the techniques that we're going to use to strap an ankle, and I'll demonstrate that in part 2.